Welcome to Title Talk with your host, Drew Wishover, entrepreneur, a published author, and owner of Inspired Title Group, along with his co-host and CEO, Amy Maley. Each week, they offer you some laughs, industry terminology, tips and strategies, along with the occasional real estate professional to help educate you as it pertains to buying, selling, or just plain old homeownership. Thanks for spending time with them. Now, let's jump into today's episode of Title Talk. Good morning, everybody. We're going to be super loud today because we've got folks working above our head and making some noise. They're redoing our roof so we don't get leakies. So we don't want any leakies on Title Talk. We welcome you guys here on a Thursday morning. My name is Drew.
My name is Amy.
We are coming to you again live from our studio, and yes, you see a third person sitting in the middle. She has the same last name as me. I happen to be super, super proud, super close, know her pretty well. I am so honored and excited when she comes in because she talks about things that are so very relevant, things that are going on in the world today with all of the stuff that has been dealt with. As we talk to you about, the Inspired Way and what we do, we're trying to just bring to you guys the attention of everything, not just about talking title and how you buy and sell houses in the real estate market. We're going to talk about today mindfulness and listening to what's going on today. This is Mental Health Month.
Mental Health Awareness Month.
This is Mental Health Awareness Month, which is right in her lane.
Okay.
I'm not going to take any more time to talk about it. I'm going to introduce to you Courtney Wishover, who is a licensed professional counselor. Woohoo! Dan knows it.
You got it.
LPC, which I'll just be calling you a little LPC from now on. Tell us a little bit about you and tell the audience about what got you into this, and as your brothers are obviously working in this business already, and you went, oh no, Dad, I'm not going to do this.
Yeah. Well, I definitely dipped my toe in this for a while.
You did.
I was here for a long time.
We missed her.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, and I miss being here because this was like the big community family stuff that I had outside of the family who actually just works here.
Right.
It was a whole other separate
Very
family,
true statement.
which was very huge for me as I was going through school to kind of like wrap up my process of becoming a counselor. So having this at that same time was awesome, and something I highly recommend to any professional counselor going through school is if you're needing another job at the same time doing something not mental health related, if you have some experience at the same time, just because you want to be able to build on that experience in your classwork.
Right.
At the same time, you need a break from the mental health work sometimes.
Speaking of mental health, the Lord is with us too.
Yes. But overall, I got into the mental health field. I knew that I wanted to be a counselor starting 7th grade.
Yeah.
Following my best friends at the time had a suicide attempt, and we had been kind of spending a lot of time together, talking a lot about her mental health and what was kind of getting in the way. And at that time, that was the first time I'd ever really experienced that challenge, at least to that degree. I knew people around me would struggle and they'd be sad and we'd get upset, but to see my friend go to a point where she was so isolated, so quiet, and just so not herself anymore.
7th grade.
Yes,
That's so crazy.
and you don't know what at that time we still weren't talking about mental health.
Right.
So the moment we knew something was going on, the decision was like, well, we don't tell anybody.
No, don't
like
talk
we're gonna handle this on our own, and like we open it up to one other friend, and it wasn't up until the point where finally she had an attempt that still I was uncomfortable to go to somebody very directly. So at the time, our school, like the nurse's office, had a box and it was like, oh, a note for the office kind of thing. So I put an anonymous note in there, and ended up being flagged, and my friend ultimately ended up getting help, which was awesome. And this sounds kind of twisted, but it was awesome being able to be a support system at that time, which was a huge draw for me. At the same time, initially, it was kind of spiteful of me. My friend's therapist had said that I was not allowed to be friends with my best friend anymore. So as a part of her recovery, it was needing to drop me first. And that made no sense to me. So like I wanted to understand, where would that come from? How does that happen, you know? And just over time, it seemed like a lot of people in my circle that gravitated towards me had a lot of different issues going on, whether it be on their own or with their family, things like that. So I just found myself continuously within this helper role, and I loved it, and I never would hesitate. And people always knew at the parties, it was like, oh, there's Courtney having a heart-to-heart with somebody else, and like somebody I didn't even like that, but all of a sudden I'm like, I'm here for you. Like, what's going on? Let's chat.
And I think that, you know, going back to your first experience, I mean, you will always remember that. I mean, I remember it because you brought it to our attention, and it was a rough spot. But I think what you experienced is pretty common, right? Like if you out somebody, more than likely you're going to lose them until they come back, right? Like until they go, oh my gosh, I didn't realize then what you did for me now has been amazing.
Well, and I was given that like kind of ultimatum.
Yes.
Was if you tell anybody, then we won't be friends anymore.
Right.
Which ultimately did end up happening, but not for, it wasn't by their choice anymore.
Yeah.
So, that was another reason why I stayed silent.
Yeah.
But then ultimately, seeing that it got to the point that it did, I was like, it's not worth it. Like if I have to lose your friendship, I would rather have that than losing you as a physical being here. Like
And that's, I mean,
you matter here.
That's such a huge decision for somebody who's in 7th grade. I mean, I often challenged your thought process of this, and I, not to say that you couldn't do it. It was really interesting to me to hear that you stayed in that path of wanting to do this as this event took place in your life. It really left a mark in your world to say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to get out there and help some people. So let's fast forward a little bit to talking about your process and how did you get there?
Yeah, so I did my undergrad work I started at Arizona State, and then I transferred to University of Iowa, finished there with my undergraduate in psychology and a minor in human relations. So I was like, you know, I'm even more understanding of how to work with people. And then after that, I took a gap year, came home, and then I completed my graduate degree through Lewis University. So then that was a clinical mental health program, and it was specifically targeted for children and adolescents. And I did that because that's the population I enjoy working with like the most. I love that area. I also knew though that starting with my education as the kids, that allows me more opportunities to also work with adults because I get a whole scope of things in that. Otherwise, if I would have gone just the adult route, then they would kind of say, not that you can't work with kids, but there's a huge developmental piece that you're missing.
Right.
Yeah.
So within that time though, as I had said before, like I did have a chunk of time where I was working community mental health. So pillars that you guys had worked with.
Yeah.
What was that, last year? 2 years ago?
2 years ago, that was
Yes.
good back.
Yeah, so community mental health, I was working with the chronically mentally ill and underserved community. So what will always stand out to me, I was on a CST team. So we were 24 hours crisis team, and you'd go a couple times a week to different clients, and you were helping them basically keep their life afloat. You're helping connect them to the state resources, things like that. You're bringing them to their counselors. I function more as almost like a case manager in that regard. However, I was able to learn a lot of different interventions, skills, and tools because it was a team approach. So that was awesome and a great way to get into the field. And what will always stand out to me is one of my clients, and I will tell everybody about this person, just being a 63-year-old individual with schizophrenia and knowing all the stigma that comes with schizophrenia, and people are like, oh my gosh, I'm terrified, and I'm like, this is my most favorite person in the world. Like, oh my gosh, they're like the best memories and so much that I was able to learn from just that individual alone. But truly being humbled by the experience of knowing that the people really are suffering the most are the ones who can't get the help that they need. They don't have access to that. People just kind of see them and without actually taking the time to listen to them, they observe one behavior and go, "You're crazy. I need to stay away. You're a threat to me."
Could you say that again? Just that first part, the
Like,
most
"You're
important part.
crazy.
No.
You're a threat to me."
No.
Keep reminding.
Of the identifying of the problem, saying the biggest concern is the people that don't.
Oh, the people that need the help the most
Exactly.
don't have access to the resources that they need.
I mean, that's what we're talking about right here. Is there's so much going on, and we're telling you that this is an access. This is an individual who can help you. So when you think you're hopeless, when you think you're desperate, where do I go? Where do I turn? What do I do? Right? And that's that helplessness.
Yes, and I know that a lot of people struggle with like the financial fees and rates that come out of like private practice, things like that. And I work out of a private practice, so I acknowledge that. Is it cheap to come see me necessarily? No. However, it's something that it's so worth investing in. It's an investment in yourself. And that money builds on it. If you're willing to pay for your health insurance and you're willing to pay towards your deductible every time you have a cold, why would you not take the time to invest into your mental health in that? It's the same thing. I also understand though that despite you wanting that investment, if it still is just out of your reach because of those financial things, I always recommend that when searching for a therapist, if financial aspects are kind of a big thing for you, put in sliding scale.
Right.
Sliding scale will always help you kind of narrow down your providers who say, hey, based off of your income, we will kind of decide what is a more appropriate fit for you.
So what do you think personally that COVID is going to do, like with adolescents and future of mental health and all this? Because like,
That's a great question.
because the amount of, so I teach dance, I talk about that once in a while, and the amount of kids that are seeing therapists right now as opposed to 5 years ago, these kids, their ages, like it's night and day.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's brilliant because I think that that's something that we cannot really relate to on the level that they can. So like what's your kind of thoughts and
So
have you seen a difference or anything?
Oh, for sure. One of my biggest referral sources are my current clients. Because, and I'll get the phone calls, hey, well, I know that I can't tell you who, but one of your current clients referred me to you for my kid and things like that. So, I'm noticing all of the different areas in which it's actually impacting these kids. And I'm learning about this week by week because I think I've talked about it on here before, kind of that self-esteem aspect where they'll hide behind the mask, things like that. And I have somebody who comes in and we've been working together for a little bit. They still wear a mask with me, and they will be very open and vulnerable what's coming out of their mouth, but they're still hiding their face during that whole time.
That's so crazy.
So definitely the self-esteem aspect of that, like the hiding your face and just being seen. Also think about that of so many of us, our weight fluctuated. How we look changed over that time because we were significantly more like inactive. Things like that.
Oh yeah.
So whether or not I loved how I looked in my face, if my body has changed, and as a kid, my body's changing multiple times already. I didn't need any more reason for that to happen, so now I'm even more insecure. Also though, something I noticed the most too is school. The expectations as far as school changed so much. Homework assignments, a lot more flexibility, reduced expectation as to when do we need to get this done? What does this need to look like?
And then what does it mean for their future, like going to college and getting
Right.
into college and all that stuff?
Right,
Like it's
reduce
gonna
accountability.
impact you them at some point.
It gave them the ability to have the discipline as though they were in college when they do not have the developmental understanding and tools to really know how to make that happen. They don't know how.
Oh, that's a good
That's why the school system is still structured in the way that it is because that's what they thrive off of at that time and that age frame.
Right.
So to say, whoa, we're gonna take it back and basically give you wide open days and schedules, just get it done when you can, or maybe by the end of the semester and you'll be fine. It reduced any sort of motivation that they had to get it done.
Yeah.
So I have kids right now who are saying, they're like, I can't get this done, and they're like, and my parents are yelling at me, but I don't know how to explain it. Like, as long as I turn in by the end of the year, like, why would I do it now if I can just do it then and just cram it all in at once, and I will still get the same exact grade anyways. So that accountability isn't there. There really is a lack of consequences and things like that. And not that I'm big on consequences. I'm huge on setting us up for success. And that's what I feel like was taken away. Was taken away that structure and the accountability. Just kind of said, go for it. And you're like, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
School, especially because school it's not really exciting for a lot of kids. No. They like recess, lunch, and sometimes gym. So outside of PE testing right now.
you speak about the pandemic and its effect on the kids. So what else do you see then with the pandemic and how it affects the parents of these kids? Or, I mean, because you're seeing both, right? So what talk to that point for a little bit as far as, we see what the kids are. There's reduced expectations, accountability, drive, motivation, and then there's that insecurity. So now cut to the parents.
So parents, during quarantine, we're in the height of it, and everybody was truly quarantined at home.
Right.
Think about the impact of your environment on you. If your kid is sitting there at home all day, every day, fighting school, being isolated in their room, taken away from friends, they're miserable, they're unmotivated, and the last thing they want to hear is their parent telling them to do this, that, or the other, when really they haven't had to leave bed.
Right.
So now there's resistance, there's negativity surrounding you, there's a lot more kind of power struggles and things like that, because think about it, now I've been given all of this power at school, and I'm functioning almost like an adult here, but now you're going to tell me what to do too? It's a complete imbalance and discrepancy from what they understand as far as their roles, responsibilities, and expectations. So that definitely created some more tension. Plus, as much as we all love each other as a family, you need a break.
For sure.
So whether it be that for the kid, school was the escape, right? So now they're like, oh my gosh, what do I do? How do I function in my home environment all the time? So now I behave differently. And maybe for the parents, like, for their mental health, they're like, I know that I need this separation. Sometimes too.
I can't be your teacher and your mom and your
So then all the new roles that like the parents had to take on. That's the responsibility that the kids lost fell into the hands of the parents, on top of having to navigate a whole new working from home kind of system. And that's if you were able to keep your job. If you lost your job and now you're struggling with your mental health, your kid is struggling, and you're expected to keep them up.
It's a mess.
It is so much, and I feel like a lot of parents were doggy paddling through all of this. And I give them so much credit and kudos for doing everything that they could. If you could doggy paddle through this, good for you. That's amazing. But yeah, I mean, very overwhelming, very, very big changes just within the dynamics, I think.
It's amazing to hear you say some of those things, because we all are wrestling with something. We all we all have something to think that we don't. You're probably just kidding yourself. Discovering that and having an awareness is the big piece of it. But I think as important is knowing that there are people out there that are willing to help. It's not judging you anymore. I think right now it's probably more common, right? To having a counselor, having a coach, having somebody kind of in your corner that will listen, right? You spoke about how much your the volume of your business has increased, as far as your client base, because of the pandemic. What would you say to encourage people to having this awareness and recognizing that it's okay? Like, how do you talk somebody through that?
So, like I said, my biggest referral source are my current clients. clients.
Okay.
So
Which speaks volumes for the kind of work
Yeah,
that you do
yeah,
and person that you're, which,
sure.
and for real, like that's a
Thank
great thing.
I think being able to take that vulnerability piece that you have with me or whomever your counselor might be, bring that into your everyday.
Yeah.
Talk about it. You don't have to at all expose yourself as far as what you're talking about in therapy.
No.
That is your business and everything to
Right.
yourself. However, being able to continue to normalize that in that conversation. You know, like, hey, I know that you've really been having a hard time lately. Like, have you considered going to see somebody?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
giving
Yeah.
referrals, giving resources,
Yeah.
things like that, and not speaking about it in a way that continues that stigma. I understand a lot of people, we like to use humor as a way to
Yeah.
deflect from
Yeah.
the
That's a
negative
big
things,
deflection
right?
for sure.
However, sometimes when we do that within therapy, like I love dark humor. So like when
That's great.
my people make the jokes, I mean like I'll laugh and I'm like, this is not an outside of therapy joke. Like,
This is here
get
only.
it. Like, we're here, but no, because otherwise when you say that outside of therapy, sometimes people take that as, well, does your therapist know about that? Like, are you okay? So
Yeah.
then it's like,
Right.
is this
Right,
really
right, right.
working?
Yeah.
And people start doubting it and questioning it because no matter what, there still will always be this inherent stigma
Yes.
of
100%.
I'm crazy if I go.
Yes.
So people will latch on to any sort of reason to
Yep.
doubt it as well. So build it up. Be a hype person for therapy.
Right.
If you enjoy
Yes.
it,
Right. I agree.
build it up.
I
And
agree.
that's the weird thing. Like rewind 16 years ago, I went through like a terrible breakup where I was going through like a really bad time, and I remember my mom saying to me, "You have to go to therapy."
Yeah.
And like at that point, it was like there's nothing wrong
It's
with
frowned
me.
upon.
Like I don't need anybody to talk to. I'm fine. And thank God she did, because it was such a blessing in disguise that like I would have never gone to do myself. And now I'm going through coaching that I talk about.
Yeah.
You know, it's been how long? A year?
Yeah, a little over
A
a year.
little over
Yeah.
a year, and like it has been such an incredible thing. I get to talk to my coach, therapist, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it, you know, twice a week, and it's just, you know, it's good for work, it's good for me. She dealt with, you know, a lot of things that
Definitely.
I didn't know how to deal with on my own. So like I said, the transition from what therapy coaching was 15 years to now, to where I think it will be in 15 years, I think it's going to be like, I'm hoping to God that it keeps going on this same path of like acceptance, and it's a good thing, and use it and find these people that you fit in with. So
Yeah, and me too.
sorry, I didn't mean to
because-
cut you off.
No, not at all. Because I think people go in with this assumption of, well, I need to be so far off
Right.
in order
Right.
to
Yes.
go to therapy. And it's like,
Yes.
no, you don't. That's why there are levels
Yes.
to this.
100%.
So do you mind if I kind of explain that?
No,
like
go
what
ahead.
those
No,
are?
do it.
So there, especially like I want to clarify this because I think with TikTok, with social media, people just like
Ugh.
jump to assume like what everything
Yeah,
is
yeah.
and
It's
how
out in
that
front
kind
of
of
us.
goes. So I work outpatient therapy. So that means in a private practice, I typically will see a client once a week, once every other week, once a
Right.
month, things like that. Sometimes I will see people twice a week. However, if that is happening consistently, that tells me your symptoms are severe enough, meaning they're impacting your functioning to a degree at which you need that much support.
Correct.
Okay, that's fine. However, I can only do so much and be responsible for some.
Down goes
Oh.
Bones Man.
I'm blaming the
Mr. Bones.
on that.
Keep on.
So then when it gets to a point where you're like, okay, you need more support, we need a little more of a team and
Yeah.
backing and an eye on these things, right? Then we start talking about hospitalization.
Yeah.
So different levels though. We have inpatient, which is when what you'll commonly hear is when somebody is maybe threatening to take their life. They're suicidal, they feel that they are a safety risk to
critical.
themselves
Yeah.
or to somebody else, just in general the people around them. So that is when you go to the ER and say, I'm a risk to myself, I want to hurt myself, or I'm afraid I'm going to hurt somebody else. Then you get checked into the hospital, and ultimately, inpatient is meant for stabilization.
Mhm.
We are not here to make you better, we're not taking away your problems, we're not processing anything that's happening. We are here to hold you to make sure you are safe from yourself. You will meet with a doctor and maybe a psychiatrist or a nurse, and they might be putting you on medication to help
Right.
assist in that stabilization process. However, that's usually a couple days, maybe up to a weekish, just as long as you can attest to the fact that you're safe before you leave. Still from there though, they have you do step downs. So the outpatient hospitalizations, there's PHP, partial hospitalization program. So you would go to like a Linden Oaks, Timberline Knolls, Rogers Behavioral, something like that, where for maybe about 6 hours a day, you're doing a program. There's group therapy, maybe there's
That's
individual therapy, you're doing skills, processing, mindfulness, all different kinds of things.
Is that like how to cope? That's like,
Yep.
yeah, okay, got it.
So it's a lot of education and skill building, things like that.
Yeah.
And again, team-based, so you have a lot of people supporting you. Then you step down to intensive outpatient, which is within your same program, now you're a half day.
Okay.
So 3 hours. So for kids, sometimes these programs, they'll do a morning or an afternoon, so then they can still go to school. So they're starting to make that transition back and have the experience of both. And then after the IOP, that's pretty much where you come back to me at outpatient.
That's, I mean, I think that's great to have that awareness and having that understanding of the severity and the levels, and you really being an individual to determining where you're at, if anywhere, and saying, maybe I just need a little bit, I gotta get some things out. I gotta release some of this. It's okay. In putting that stigma away from the 1960s that, people are crazy because they do this, I think it's a common practice. So before we actually kind of, wrap some things up here, if you guys have any questions for Courtney, if there's, something that you want to know, if you're struggling, or if somebody that is struggling, put it in the chat. We can certainly get her to try to answer that question for you, to kind of give you some direction, or we'll talk and give you all her vitals afterwards, where you can maybe just reach out to her one-on-one. So something that we opened up with, and I definitely want to get back to, is mindfulness. There are so many exercises. There are so many different apps and things out there. Could you spend just a few minutes talking about that, and maybe some recommendations on mindfulness and really how to use it?
Yeah. So when we're thinking about mindfulness, as you said, there's a lot of different practices and ways to go about it. However, you need to think about the actual basics of what is mindfulness. It's about doing something mindfully, one thing at a time. Stop
You lost me.
multitasking.
You lost me.
Yes.
So as much as right? Because as much as we think that we're being effective, we really aren't, because when I'm driving from work to home, for example, I know that drive. It's a lot of muscle memory at this point, so I'm doing a lot less paying attention to the route I'm driving and a lot more attention to the song that I'm singing instead. So you're having to focus on one thing at a time if we're doing mindfulness, right? Then we also want to be very non-judgmental.
It's true.
We only want to look at the facts. I'm in a room. There are lights. There are people. There are 4 people. So very basic things, because the moment we throw in an emotion, opinion, things like that, that is where we start getting all twisty and we get in our head. We just need to be here, just here. So doing those kinds of things, something that would help you do that is a practice that I always recommend is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Very simple. 5 things that you see, 4 things that you're touching, 3 things that you hear, 2 that you smell, 1 that you can taste. So that's typically the last thing that you eat. So don't think too hard.
You think about those. So you're saying you think about those.
I have you list them out loud.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, you speak
So you do
about
out
okay.
loud, yes, because then it just gets you reoriented and grounded into even just the space that you're at.
Sure.
Another kind of way to do mindfulness is when you're thinking about all the deep breathing kind of exercises people might tell you, you want to bring in a component that is physical, in the sense of, when I say deep breathing, I like to tell people to trace their hand. So I feel myself touching my hand. That's what I'm going to pay attention to. But I'm breathing all at the same time. But I know that I'm here. This is where I am, and I'm connected to myself.
Okay.
If it's not your hand, I like drawing a star or something on a sheet of paper and trace that. Things like that. That visual, all those things, it just keeps you focused and locked in on the here and now. That's all we're thinking about.
That's, I mean, it's great. And like, first of all, my mind is going 240 just listening to that and saying, well, to just shut it down, how great would that feel? To really just, release some of those
I'm holding you accountable to
those
that.
things. I wish
I am.
somebody would.
I am.
mean, I wish somebody would. I'm going to definitely put the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 in my notes.
I'm gonna tell you to trace your star. If I say that, you know what it means.
Yeah, we're gonna speak after the show and kind of do a mindfulness before we get out of here. But I really can't thank you enough for. I mean, we've just touched on a small piece of what mindfulness, what mental health is about, what stress and all the things that are out there. And I'm sure there's questions. I'm sure that you guys have a lot of things stewing within you that you're kind of going, wow. Do we have any questions from any of the audience or
Not right now.
Okay.
Just
if you guys want to get a hold
intently
of Courtney, certainly you can reach her. Why don't you tell people where they can get you, talk to them about that, and
Yeah, absolutely. So I work for Associates in Professional Counseling. So I'm out of Palos Heights, Frankfort, Naperville, and Plainfield. Do you have my information up there? I can barely read from these glasses.
888-545-5707.
Yes,
Yeah,
extension 43. So
we'll plug
that's
it
my
into the
phone
chat
number.
as well. We'll just toss it into
And
the
yeah,
chat.
you
so we
can
know.
always go on our website, and there's a bio for me as well if you want to learn a little bit about me. And if I am not your cup of tea, that's okay. All of our other counselors on there as well, they have their bios. You can call in. There's also an extension for our intake department, which is extension 11. And then you leave a brief message, and then we'll get you connected. And
Nice.
and yeah, if you talk to me, then whether or not it works out with us, I'm always willing to extend the resources out. So at least it's one place to start.
Right. It's a resource.
Yeah,
and
for
and,
sure.
and I thank you for taking some time today out of your day helping the people that are mindful enough to recognize where there's a problem and recognize that, gee, I feel comfortable. I'm gonna be vulnerable. I'm gonna kind of be stripped down from some of these things, and I'm okay, because what's gonna happen is they're gonna breathe that new life back into me and teach me some different coping mechanisms. I mean, the coping mechanisms that are out there today are atrocious. I mean, they're all those things that people turn to just go, oh yeah, I'll just do this because that'll solve my problem. Well, all that's really doing is enhancing it and making it larger. I think getting to the root of the problem. And that's what people like Courtney and the team at APC will do for you.
Yes.
So please, reach out, get a hold of her. I'm so thankful that you took some time and blessed to have you here, and proud of you as the daughter who is out there, helping the world, and one person at a time.
Yeah.
It's pretty exciting.
Thank you.
I'm really, really proud of you. So
Well, thank you guys for using this month to build off of it and bring people in, because when I've talked to other people about me coming on the show this month, they were like, I don't understand how you keep bringing mental health to Title Talk. Like, what does that have to do with anything? And I'm like, mental health is everywhere.
it is.
It is everywhere, and I think this is some of the best ways for us to normalize it too, is talking about it when you least expect it, in the places you would never imagine to. So
Yeah, 100%.
I just think the more you can talk about these things, and the more we show up, I think the better suited we are. I mean, being the business group of what Inspired is all about, and the tag of who we are, I mean, we are more for the community and the people, which is very relatable. And that's how we kind of mesh those two things. Having you in the business was easy. That was great. That made sense. And now that snowballs into us having other guests from your team and in your industry to kind of talk this month. So we're going to be doing a full month of mental health, and hopefully talking to some other professionals that will be as knowledgeable as Courtney, sharing stories and telling you guys about the hows and the whys. And maybe if we touch one of you, if we help one of you go to therapy or recognize that maybe it's not a bad idea, I would be overjoyed. So
just takes one.
it does. It does. So we're gonna, if you're cool with sticking around, we're gonna
Sure.
do some of our other fun things that we
just gonna
typically
get more
like to do.
Now no
Yep, I'll get
professional
comfortable
speak.
now. You're off the hook. So Courtney's gonna stick around with us here, and we're going into it.
We are going into the normal Thursday Title Talkness.
Here we go.
All right. So I'm going to do my national days.
National Day.
It is National Day of Prayer today. So, the National Day of Prayer is observed annually on the first Thursday in May. It's designated by the United States Congress and asks people to turn to God in prayer and meditation.
Right on.
World Password Day.
Oh.
This one made me chuckle because of the 762 passwords that you have. And he says, oh, use that one. Wait a minute. Did it have a colon at the end of it? Wait a minute. Is there an exclamation point? So.
But they're
At
creative.
least you change yours.
Oh, I do.
I keep being notified that I need to change mine because they're pretty compromised.
Yeah, that's what I do. And then I just, you don't
Brittany
know.
just laughs at every time I come up with a one, she's going, come on, I can't type that.
No. So, yeah, look at your passwords, write down your passwords, keep them somewhere safe so that you don't have to go through the ridiculousness of Brittany and I trying to figure out which of these 762 passwords that Drew is using. It is Cinco de Mayo, if you could not tell by the giant Cinco de Mayo sign above Courtney's head. Deeply rooted history in the Franco-Mexican War influenced Mexican-American communities in the early years of the American Civil War. So this is kind of a time to look back and reflect on how far we've come and, to celebrate Mexican heritage.
Nice.
Yes.
Happy Cinco de Mayo.
Happy Cinco de Mayo. We're going to be playing something with the Cinco de Mayo
Cinco
tradition
de Mayo
later. So stay
games.
tuned. Make
like
sure
Cinco de Mayo
you will
games.
not want to miss that.
No, not at all. Not at all. Yes, Courtney,
Oh,
fetch
no.
Mr. Bones. Get Mr. Bones back
Mr.
up there.
Bones got a sombrero on.
Mr.
That's why
Bones.
he came to.
So today in history, on this day, Cinco de Mayo, 1904, Cy Young pitched his first no-hitter. Anybody that knows anything about baseball, the Cy Young Award is always granted to the best pitcher in the game of baseball for that year. So that award was named after him. But in 1904, he pitched his first perfect game in modern baseball. Then, moving forward into 1961, Mr. Alan B. Shepard. He became the first American in space. In space. Not on
Today's
the moon.
National Astronaut Day.
See?
Because
There
of
you go.
that.
Freedom 7. He was on Freedom 7, first American to be in space in
Shepherd, like
1961.
Shepherd High School over
Like,
here.
yeah, like Alan B. Shepard High
Was
School.
it like
in
for
Hales.
12 minutes or something? Was it like one of the shortest like space flights in history? I thought it was.
Okay, Google it. And then, lastly,
15 minutes,
1978, Pete Rose became the 14th player to get 3,000 hits.
Who did?
Pete Rose,
Really?
3,000 hits, 14th player.
Interesting.
3,000 hits, yes indeed. And there you have our fun facts and today in history.
Thanks, Mr. Bones.
Mr. Bones is happy. All right, now I guess we get into the
That's me.
bum. The game that we are going to play today is a game surrounded by Cinco de Mayo. There will be, I guess, some trivia questions. We're going to challenge to see how much Amy and I know about Cinco de Mayo. I'm going to, and then we get to huck the burrito.
At Courtney?
No, if the answer is wrong, you toss the burrito.
I've had that chucked at my head before. So.
Oh.
Brittany threw it at me this morning and I didn't know it was flying at me. And I was like,
So-
ah!
We're trivia Cinco de Mayo and participating in a little toss the burrito.
Should you pick up a button?
A button. Okay, I'm gonna have a
Can't-
button for an
Can I
answer.
smack a burrito for that answer? But
Button for an answer. All right. Courtney's
Hang on,
gonna
this
have
was
to.
bad luck.
Is it whoever gets it wrong first gets the burrito thrown at them? Like, so if he answers first and he's wrong, does she automatically get to throw it
Oh
at him?
yeah, I would think that if I answer wrong, I get a burrito. Yes.
Okay, I didn't know if she has
Yes.
a chance. In the
Last week it was pie in the face. This week it's burrito in the face. We're noticing a theme here. Okay, here we go.
You're
All
like so
right.
faces.
Who was president of Mexico during Cinco de Mayo?
She has options.
Please give us options.
And there's only 3.
Okay, good.
Abraham Lincoln, Ignacio Zaragoza, or Benito Juarez? Yes.
Bonito.
Yes.
That's what I was gonna.
Got it.
Wait, I didn't get it wrong. You just got it right.
Which means you got it wrong.
Oh my god, that was like gut shot.
Okay, now I have to have it back. Thank you for throwing it.
You
back.
are welcome.
All
Oh my
right.
god, that was like in my spleen.
I was bringing it. I felt like I was Cy Younging it. Okay, here we go.
All right. What was the outcome of the Battle of Puebla? The French won, the Mexicans won, or it was a draw?
Go ahead.
Did I beat first?
I think you beat first.
Did I?
Wait first.
The Mexicans won.
Yes.
Because it's Cinco de Mayo! dummy.
Oh my god. This is gonna end very badly. This is good.
There's gonna be brawls afterwards. Okay, thank you. All right.
All right. Which army had more soldiers? The French, the Mexicans, or the equals? Or they were equals. Or they were
French.
equals. Yes.
I really want to throw it at your head, and I had to resist the urge too.
No, it's okay.
All right. What country mainly celebrated Cinco de Mayo? Mexico, Spain, or Venezuela? Yes.
Spain.
No.
Right to the
Not
beat.
yet.
It has to be Mexico.
Yes.
It has to be Mexico.
We're tied 2-2.
All right, 2-2. Here we go.
All right. Who was
Sorry if that hit your eye.
That's okay.
All right. Who was the leader of the Mexican army? Ignacio Zaragoza, Benito Juarez, or Napoleon III?
Ignacio.
Yes.
Ha!
Jesus! Oh my god, I had to turn straight in the air. I almost started sweating from trying to hold back the urge to chuck a burrito.
We're chucking burritos. If you're just tuning in going, what the hell? are
Happy
they
Cinco de
doing?
Mayo!
Happy Cinco de Mayo burrito chucking trivia. All right.
All right. Why was Mexico attacked in the first place on Cinco de Mayo? The attacking country was trying to expand its empire.
Yes.
No.
Oh my god. Where the hell heck did that fly?
It went over here to the left.
Well, that sucks.
It hit her. It definitely
Dude, like that was ricochet off the
hit her
collarbone.
Yeah, because it was like thud. You
Like that was
you might have heard that one on camera.
like you might. Where did for real? Where did it go?
Behind Courtney's.
Oh, here it
Yeah.
is. Oh.
Oh, yay! Thank
Oh
you.
my
Oh,
god.
do you want to
You
guess between my other two options?
Okay, please.
The natives were restless and tried to overthrow the government, or Mexico owed the attacking country money.
Let's say they own money.
Yes.
No burrito for me. Okay.
All right,
You already
what-
got tossed at. You're
What
okay.
specific area in Mexico celebrates Cinco de Mayo primarily? Oh gosh. Oaxaca? I butchered that one.
Okay.
Pueblo or Puebla?
Pueblo?
Let's just throw at each other.
Ready, set, throw.
All right, that was
It was
bad.
Puebla. Puebla.
Puebla.
All right.
What
Okay.
is not a traditional custom for celebrating Cinco de Mayo? Parades, making sugar skulls, or preparing and consuming traditional foods and drinks?
That was
Sugar skulls.
Yeah.
Yeah, sugar skulls.
That's a. Great. Now I got it in. Hoo-ha.
That's for Dia de los Muertos.
Muertos. Yep.
Huh?
It's for Dia de los Muertos.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what you do the sugar skulls
Right.
for.
All right, what country tried to invade Mexico on Cinco de Mayo? England, France, Spain.
France?
Yes.
with noise.
All right, guys, we got only a couple more.
All right.
What's the score? How many am I losing?
I think
by?
I have
2?
I have 5.
You have 3.
You have 3.
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
5-3.
What is the actual date of Mexico's Independence Day? September 16th, July 4th, or September 26th?
September, not 26th. The other
The
one.
16th?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, where did that go?
Went
right there.
with Courtney. Your button went there.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh my gosh,
All right.
I'm losing it.
All right. 6-3. Here we go. Winding it down.
What does Cinco de Mayo represent to the Mexican people?
Ooh.
Their independence, the first day of summer, Mexican unity, and patriotism.
The last one.
Yes. What
6-4.
What exactly happened on Cinco de Mayo? The Battle of Puebla, Mexico won its independence, nothing happened.
Nothing.
No. The Battle of Puebla!
Yeah. Ooh, we had votes.
I know, off the chest bounce.
Alright, last one.
All right. Here
What's
we
the
go.
score?
7 to 5.
Yeah,
7 to,
I can't win.
Yeah.
We'll just do the tiebreaker. Whoever wins this wins it.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
All
This
right.
one's for 5 million points.
What does Cinco de Mayo mean in English? The 5th of March. Okay.
The 5th of May.
Yes!
Well, that was fun. Thank you for participating in that game.
Dude, I'm gonna bruise.
That was our Cinco de Mayo trivia.
Thank you for the multiple choice.
That was
Made it
awesome.
much more
Oh,
fun
yeah, there
than
would be no way.
there would have been silence
There
for
would be no
5
way.
minutes.
Yes. Yes, that's always fun. We always like to come with you, come bringing games and things. So thank you very much for tuning in for that. Now let's do some dun 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 motivation and inspiration.
I do love the mustache on top of my
I
head
mean,
right now.
you know, it is kind of in accordance with the mental health month and things, and I'm looking forward to hearing yours because you know, as we talked pre-show and kind of planning up to this, bring
Cool.
some positivity to the world, Aim.
All right, so May 5th is National Silence the Shame Day. This is a national holiday that aims to end the stigma surrounding mental health by having conversations and bringing awareness about mental health and wellness with those people around you. We should all be working to end the stigma that is associated with mental health. Mental illness is something that can be diagnosed at any stage during the illness. It can have a variety of different symptoms, and it may or may not impact our daily functioning. Every mental illness can affect someone differently. It is important to remember that mental illness can be treatable and recovery is possible. It is also important to remember that you are not alone during this process. About 1 in every 5 individuals in the United States struggles daily with their mental health. 1 in 5. Suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States. And for individuals between the ages of 10 and 34, it is the 2nd leading cause of death.
Ooh, can I build off that?
Yes.
Sorry. The 1 in 5. I also believe that's the exact same statistic for 1 in 5 people will be able to have a diagnosable mental health disorder at some point within their lifetime.
Sorry, please. No.
Big number.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. It is okay to need help, and it is okay to talk to those around you. No one should struggle with mental illness alone. The stigma about discussing mental health needs to end so that no one feels they need to be silent about their mental illness. There are many things that you could do on this day to support ending the stigma surrounding mental illness. So one thing that it's hashtag silence the shame. It is it's been a national holiday since I think 2017. I want to say is when it first became known as a way to start talking about mental health. So yeah, so if you are struggling, so 5 years. Yeah, so if it's something you're struggling with, they say, you know, hashtag silence the shame, click on that, and you'll be able to kind of communicate and talk to people that are also struggling. Talk with your doctor, attend support groups, talk openly about mental health. Don't be ashamed to talk to others about depression, anxiety, bipolar, or other mental health issues. Share positive thoughts on social media. Don't judge others. Learn facts about others and don't share and gossip. Remember that words matter, and if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. Be compassionate, be empowered, or smile. We can all work to normalize conversations about mental health, illness and wellness. Ending the stigma surrounding mental health will allow people to feel open to discussing their mental health and find the support they need. May 5th is a good day to help get the message out about the stigma about mental health. And please join in ending the silence.
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, that had so many impactful points in it, and I mean, obviously played very well on.
And it's
what
communication.
Courtney was
Like
saying.
we say the word communication all the time. It's not just in business. It's in life. It's in health. It's in everything.
Yeah.
So
You gotta
don't
get
be
out
afraid
there.
to talk to people.
Gotta get out there and speak about it. Gotta make it a point. So that is absolutely fantastic. And Evie, I'm going to talk a little bit about failure and success and kind of how they connected. Had to do a panel that I was part of, thankfully, and blessed to be part of, and I learned so much from the people that were on that panel and inspirational people that, and a lot of the questions that were asked of us were about success and failure and kind of how they relate. So it allowed me the opportunity to kind of, you know, pen some notes and,
Yeah.
and put together a little thought here. So that is the word that is probably the most read. Everyone wants to be a success. We want to be liked and admired, but that dreaded F word always pops up: failure. This experience is strong enough to make you want to quit and start a new life. It's no different for an entrepreneur or anyone trying to make something special out of their life. Whether it's getting ahead in your career or losing weight or just taking items off your bucket list, success takes time and effort. I said it. You may fail at life many times before you're successful. Ask anybody who has become successful if they've ever failed at any aspects of their journey. Chances are that you're going to get quite a few great stories about their mishaps and their blunders and some of their trials and tribulations. The difference between long-term success and failure is our reaction to it. So people like, Charlie Sheen had said years ago, winners find a way to overcome the obstacles and persevere after failure. So there's no need to change the view on failure. I'm sorry, there is a need. Sorry. There is a need to change the view on failure. It's not something that needs to be avoided. It is a chance to learn something that does not work. Failure is the mother of success. So it's not always reaching that destination that defines the man or woman, but the journey that took us there. The biggest successes have gone through the biggest failures. So if you're struggling in your life, or even if you're looking for small business opportunities, don't be afraid that there are new, different, and perhaps even fly-in-the-face type wisdom out there. The worst thing that can happen is failure, which is just a chance to learn and grow. So I'm going to take a second here to just kind of mention a couple people who are or were successful, but they really experienced some massive failures at some points in their life. My first reference would be the wonderful Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Michael Jordan, oh, there it is. Okay, good. Michael Jordan said it's hard to imagine, but Jordan, who is arguably the greatest baseball player ever, was once cut from his high school basketball team. So, from not being able to stay on his high school team, Jordan kept working at it and kept improving. So he made the team at North Carolina and became a star college player. Then he played for the Bulls, creating an armful of titles. Then in the middle of his career, he took a few years off to try out his dream of becoming a professional baseball player. He ultimately failed miserably at that, and in an effort to get to the majors, but it was something that, he had some good games in the minor league. But even in basketball, Jordan is the greatest of all time. He got success through hard work after failure. As Jordan put it, I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I have lost almost 300 games. On 26 occasions, I've been entrusted to take the game-winning shot, and I missed. I have failed over and over and over again in my life, and that's why I succeeded.
It's one of my favorite quotes.
It is.
I love it.
It's so great.
It's so good.
Take, somebody else that people know very well, Walt Disney, okay? Walt Disney, when you look at how Disney's animated movies have become a household name, you'd find it difficult to imagine that the creator once faced rejection. When Walt was 22, he worked for a newspaper firm in Missouri. Disney was fired from his job. The reason? He lacked creativity. What? According to the newspaper editor, he lacked creativity. So Disney disproved this, however, by winning more than 30 Academy Awards for his animated film featuring Mickey and Minnie Mouse. Obviously, the rest is history, right? Another personal kind of story that is somebody who interests me is Mark Cuban. He owns the Dallas Mavericks. He has a net worth of about $4 billion. However, Mark failed at almost every job he ever held. He couldn't seem to get anything right. This didn't stop him. He eventually found a niche in startups. He decided to start his own company, which was eventually acquired by CompuServe. Then he went ahead and created another company that was acquired by Yahoo for $5.7 billion. Obstacles are out there, guys, and most of them are meant to overcome. No adventure worth undertaking is going to be easy. Everyone who achieves success faces obstacles. What makes or breaks a person is how they react to those obstacles and roadblocks in their life. What do they do or do not do to overcome these setbacks? What are you going to do tomorrow to overcome an obstacle in your life? I think that's our push to success right there. So that is my little motivational minutes, and I hope you guys are able to. Yes, thank you. Thank you very, very kindly. You guys are wonderful. Well, we're getting down to it, Abe.
Yeah, we are. Carol decided to pass
it forward.
Pass
pay
it forward. Sorry, pay it forward. That's
she did.
So she did say thank you so much for winning, and we do appreciate you watching and tuning in every week, Carol. But she said she would like to give it to the next month's
winner. So now you're doubling up on gas.
So remember, you must not just like. You
Yeah.
must comment, you must share, you must be interactive with what we are doing here, and you will be entered to win the May giveaway.
May giveaway.
Do I by default get entered into it because I'm very much interacting with the show?
We'll have to talk about that. There
I'll
might
have to
be
ask
some-
Brittany about that. We'll have to ask
Yeah.
our production manager.
That might be a conflict of interest. We'll see.
I do love this background though.
Yes.
It's making me happy.
It's very Cinco de Mayo. I wish I had maracas right now.
I'm glad you don't.
I'm glad I don't. We've got enough noise upstairs anyway, right?
Yeah, there's enough happening up
Plenty of
there.
Moroccan noise up there.
Yeah, Inspired
Boom.
Business gives back. So we are. This is, you know what? So the more client meetings I've been going to and stuff, the more I've been talking about how cool this part of my job is and our job and our business. That it speaks to people differently than me trying to say, come try using Inspired Title because we're a really good title company.
Right.
So the fact that we are able to talk openly and freely and be able to do this is a great thing. So we've been doing our blood drives, our prom dress donations. Upcoming, we have our Crohn's and Colitis walk, the NOCC walk, our golf outing, the Miracle League golf outing. We did Feed My Starving Children all this year. It has been a really busy year so
I'm
far.
gonna share just a quick story that took place yesterday while you were out at that meeting.
Yes.
And sharing the IBG Gives Back conversations and stories with hopefully some new clients. We had a closing here in the office, and it was a younger lady and gentleman who were buying their first house and going through the closing. And they come out of the closing, and the closer shows them the sheet of paper that we would like to, offer you the opportunity to put some of the proceeds towards one of your favorite, charities. And there are 10 on that list. And they had asked about a couple of them, and the one that they pointed to was specifically the Miracle League. And when they heard this story, the lady started to cry. This is why we do this, to make people cry.
You just want to make people
I
cry.
just want to make people
Oh my god, I
to
can't
touch
with you.
You want to
people.
get good clientele.
To make
Yeah, right?
yes, exactly. To make a difference. To watch this younger lady well up with tears because something connected. She didn't go into stories. She didn't talk about it, but she just welled up with tears. Said, "Thank you. This is a wonderful thing that you're doing," and the emotion. This is why we do this. I just sat there, and I was just I felt such joy for this opportunity to be able to do this. Not only did they finally buy their house, and they closed on that, so that was an exciting moment.
Yeah.
To know that some of the proceeds from this transaction were going to the Miracle League of Joliet because it's something that she puts down on a piece of paper, and there's a connection for her. I don't care about the connection. I care about the fact that we made the connection.
Yeah.
We made this relatable. We brought this to something that was like, what is title? I don't know what. Oh my gosh, you guys are working in the community and doing some things. This is what we're trying to do. This is the message that I want to get out there for my company is that title. Yeah, okay, great. We're going to do a great job. We're going to help you out. We're going to make sure that this thing, happens. However, we're going to do all these other things behind the scenes that we want to now bring to the front to show you and share with you.
Yeah.
And that's what this IBG gives back. And I know that you and Brittany are just riding this thing out high, and I know the other team members that we have are really supporting this, and I'm blessed and thankful for you guys to continue doing that. So we're going to look for another event here.
Yes.
I think
The Ronald McDonald House, we're trying to figure out.
I think that is we're actually
yes.
going to talk about making food for them and
Make a
spending part of
meal.
the day,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So we'll have some conversation about that with you guys in the upcoming weeks. So
Yes.
I'm full. I'm full. This has been amazing.
Yeah, it has.
What are we doing now? We're gonna wrap it.
We're
right?
done. We're ready for the wrap up.
We did it.
Courtney, thanks for being here through this whole
It's got
time.
burrito ones.
I appreciate you and
They fit perfectly.
Yes, nice.
I live and breathe burritos.
I appreciate you being on this and carrying through the time and sharing some of your professional experiences and stories with the audience, because I think it is important to take time and you work on your body and you work on your physical appearance. Let's work on our mental appearance as well.
Speaking of body and physical,
Yeah.
my dad lost 7.5 pounds over the last 60 days in
That's
the weight loss
outstanding.
challenge.
Nice.
So
That's-
shout out
Nice
Floyd.
job.
Yay.
He's give him a challenge and he will meet and exceed. I did my 4.5 pounds that I lost.
Nice.
Not as much as I was hoping for,
Nice.
but those are the numbers to beat right now.
Yeah, and
7.5 or 4.5 pounds.
I'm chasing those a little bit too, and I mean that is something we haven't really talked about. I
Floyd,
think
that means you have to come on Title Talk.
Oh, he's gonna love you. Yes, we would like to interview how he did it and talk to him about the process. It's part of the mental health.
And if not, I will do a video with him.
Yeah.
And we can share it
A
with
clip,
you
that'd be
guys.
nice.
I'll see him on Saturday and I'll do a little
That'd be
chit chat
nice.
with him and
Yeah,
share it to you guys.
We'll definitely give him something.
Good job,
for,
Poppy.
Yeah,
I'm
we'll
proud of
definitely
you.
give him something for staying dedicated. That was something that kind of we talked about, and it was just a lot more with all the other challenges and things that we've been doing and connecting to. That's kind of something that kind of slipped away. So
And
I want to get back to
craptastical
that.
weather.
Yeah,
That
the
like
weather's
we were
fine.
planning on getting together and doing walks and hanging
Yeah.
out, but I was like, okay. I read over the last 43 days there was one significant day of sunshine.
Was that the day where it was 80 degrees?
Yes.
Yeah, it was that
Yes,
Saturday.
and I mean yesterday was gorgeous out too, but like
Yes.
we had like 42 days of not measurable sunshine, so it was really hard to get together with my friends and
Our development team knows it. Our development team absolutely.
Side
is
note,
experiencing that. Yep.
we're not bitter.
Absolutely.
Sorry, that was my forgot.
You want to do a
about
quote? You got one?
that. I got a quote.
All right, do it.
All right, I got a Robert Allen quote.
Robert Allen.
Everything you want is just outside your comfort zone.
Ooh. Ooh. So don't think about what can happen in a month. Don't think about what can happen in a year. Just focus on the 24 hours in front of you and do what you can to get closer to what you want. There it is. You got 24?
That's
What
it.
do you got? You got a nice quote that you just love?
I don't have a quote, but I can instead share with you the crisis text line.
Equally as important.
Yes. You can text anything to 741-741, and it's a nice way for you to get connected to a crisis worker if you are feeling unsafe or if any sort of mental health challenge is kind of coming up and
That's
you're feeling distressed. That's a nice, safe way that you don't have to hop on the phone and feel vulnerable in your own space or feel forced to try to verbalize when otherwise you can at least start the connection via text.
Great
So
message.
that's something though that the text number and even the suicidal hotline number, I want to give that to you guys later to post on to Facebook.
We will do it. We will do it. We will have all of Courtney's credentials and vitals on Facebook. We again thank you for coming in here and spending some time with us today.
Awesome.
Thanks for doing the Cinco de Mayo game with us. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for supporting and constantly coming back out each and every week to see what crazy things we're up to and what wacky stuff we're going to throw at each other or get hit in the face with. Please continue to share this with family and friends. Let them know what we're doing. Let them know that it's a great thing to watch and sponsor and help out with and get involved with. We're welcoming of everybody and anybody who is kind of of the same mind and thinking that we are. So until next week, my name is Drew.
My name is Amy.
And this is lovely Courtney Wishover. We are the Inspired Development Business Title. We're all of it. We got it all. We're the entire Inspired team. We thank you guys for joining in. Until next week, we'll see you guys. Take care, everybody.
Well, there you have it. That is it for this week's edition of Title Talk. Be sure to head over to our Inspired YouTube page and subscribe and like. And make sure you follow the team on Instagram and Facebook. Join us again next time for more tips and knowledge from the industry pros. Thanks again for listening.